Hello everyone, Railgan here again. Today we're not talking about Starcraft 2 but about Age of Empires 4. I'm going to show you a game that I played against Grubby, and we're both still kind of learning the game. The Chinese versus Mongol game, and I want to talk a little bit about the differences between the games Starcraft 2 and Age of Empires 4, and what I learned so far, how I'm enjoying the game, and I hope it's going to be interesting. So, in this game, much like in StarCraft 2 at the top left, in the replays, we're going to see various stats. There's sadly no production tab, but I'm mostly just going to show the current resources anyways. And at the bottom left, you can also see the resources of the player that I'm currently viewing the game as. Bottom right, we have our minimap, and at the top center, the game timer and the current state of tech. There's 4 tiers total that a player can advance tech-wise. In this game, we have a lot more resources than in StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 we deal with minerals and gas. Minerals is more of the economic resource that you need to produce command centers, to produce SCVs and depots. In this game, and of course we have gas, which is more for the tech. In this game we have 4 resources total. They're also kind of used a little bit differently depending on the faction that you're playing. As the Mongols, I have meat that I use to produce workers, or rather villages as they're called in this game. I have wood that I harvest from the trees to produce buildings mostly. And I have gold over here that I'm going to use for tech. Lastly, there is stone. Stone works a little bit different for my faction that I'm playing. Instead of using it to build walls, Mongols do not build walls. Actually, I have no clue about Mongol history, IRL. The only thing I know is Genghis Khan. But in this game, if I can use stone as an additional resource to produce twice as many units as normal. We're going to see me use that with the stable. The map starts off completely unrevealed, so this is what I'm seeing right now. I have to scout all these resources like the berry bushes for food. The scout is gathering sheep at the start that I then send back home. My scout is the Khan, so not... Oh, but other factions use a scout. I have a Khan instead. Now I'm revealing the resources so I know where to expand. We see the trade post that I'm going to use a lot in this game and we'll talk about a little bit. There's also sacred something. I think they're called sacred site. There's 3 of those total, and if you control all of those for I think 10 minutes, you win the game. So that's one of the win conditions. In this game, we have 3 win conditions total. Either you have to destroy all the landmarks. Landmarks is the starting building, the starting town center. And every tech up building is also a landmark. If you destroy all of those of an opponent, he loses the game. So you do not have to destroy every single building. There's also random critters on the map as we're seeing right now. My unit can move while shooting, kind of like a phoenix on the ground. Also building some horsemen right now, 2 at a time by using the ability right here, the early horseman. So instead of paying 100 food and 20 wood, I can pay an additional 120 stone and get 2 at once. So the stone kind of acts as a duplicator for all other resources. But what I was trying to say is we have the sacred sites, 1, 2, and 3. We have the landmarks. And you can also build a wonder, which I think costs 4,000 of each resource, which is quite a lot. And if you use that, you can also win the game immediately. Or rather, I think you have to defend it for 15 minutes. Not sure if it's 10 or 15 to be honest. I've never seen anybody build a wonder. I built one once in a 2v2 game, but game ended before the wonder was even really kicked into action. Right now, I'm gathering a lot of wood. I'm getting a lot of food. My workers are working overtime, harvesting the sheep, also getting some gold. In order to tech up, I'm going to need 400 food and 200 gold. Now, what I'm doing right now with my horsemen is I'm trying to get a little bit of damage done. The town centers act kind of like planetary, so I can't just run in and kill his workers. First of all, his workers can hide in the building, and second of all, the building itself also attacks regardless. Robbie already completed his tech. This is his landmark. I'm not sure what it actually does. The bar beacon of the sun. No clue what it does. But yeah, he teched up a little bit quicker. I built a couple more units instead. If we check the income right now, I'm mining slightly more food, more food, slightly less wood, but also a little bit more gold because I'm stopping him from mining. You see that Grubby built spearmen to deal with my horsemen. This are they called? Yeah, they're called spearmen. Yeah, so the spearmen deal I think it's 3 times the amount of damage to horsemen. Horsemen deal double the damage to archers, and archers deal double the damage to the light melee units. It gets a little bit more complicated as you tech up and get into the specific units of the factions. But in general, it's like I usually just think of it like they do double damage and then it kind of maths out. It's not actually dealing double damage. I think if I read here, it says it deals 7 damage plus 7 range. And then armor is subtracted from that. Here we see the Can uses movement speed ability to try and stop the scout of Grubby. Grubby is already widening himself out a little bit in this game. He goes towards the southwest. I'm gonna build the silver tree in this game, which is a very, very useful building that will produce me a lot of traders. So I'm going to use the trade route, which is kind of an economic cheese a little bit. It's very strong on the economics, but leaves me kind of defenseless as I invest a lot of money into it. I think he's building... not sure if you can build 2 workers at a time. Oh, I don't know what this actually does. Maybe it's really just a defensive landmark. But yeah, I'm trying to get some damage done down here. I haven't actually revealed that yet, so if I show... I don't actually know what's going on down there. So lacking a little bit. You have to do a lot of economic management in this game. You have 4 different resources, so you're constantly moving the workers around. I need to get the wood so I can build my archery range against the spearmen. You can also construct with multiple workers at a time. Harassing him right now. I know the spearmen do a lot of damage against workers. Poor guy. Here we see the traders. Traders work in a way as the further they have to travel to a market and then back to the market they start off, which in my case is not actually a market but the silver tree, the more money they bring home. I'm also using the uvu. I call it the uvu, but I think I'm not sure what it's actually called, ovo. Whatever. To produce 2 traders at a time. And then I'm going to use a little bit of a cheesy strategy with the uvu. I'm not sure. Just a second. Yeah, revealing the entire map again. He is right now scouting me as well. He's like trying to find out what I'm doing. Has some defensive houses positioned. The barracks is in position. Building a blacksmith now so you can get upgrades. And I'm still upping a lot of workers over to gold right now, so I can build some gold units. And here's one of the Mongol specialties. You can turn your units into carts, and then the carts drive away quite fast, and you can relocate your buildings. It's kind of like Terran's lifting off buildings. And Grubby is building a wall right here. You can see my archers can also shoot while moving, so his spearmen are struggling a bit. And my economy is about to explode because the way it works is the traders are bringing home a certain amount of money. But by sending the traders and then moving the market further away from them, the amount of money that I gain increases. So I built my traders here, 2 at a time, sent them to the trade outpost, then moved the silver tree to the top corner of the map, and that way I gain maximum amount of money while also producing as many traders as I can. So my income is about to skyrocket here. I'm at 360 gold per minute right now. All these traders are going to bring me gold. So 10 workers brought me 360 gold per minute. Right now I'm already at 676 gold per minute. As more traders reach the trade place, I'm now at over 1000 gold per minute. So this is an absolutely insane strat for gold income. But the problem is in this tech tree, in the 2nd tier of tech, you can't actually really use gold very much. Gold is mostly used for teching, and once you reach the 3rd tier, you can use it very effectively. Over here on the other side of the map, there's always action going on. If you're looking for a game that also has some micro and action, it's definitely a cool game for that. Because you can use your units very effectively, especially the Mongol with their cavalry that can shoot while moving. Very, very fun to play with and harass your opponent. Also build defensive walls to close them out, but as we saw, our opponent in this game was just a little bit too slow. Going in, sniping another worker, running away again, doing the kiting and dancing over and over. Now I'm at 1300 gold per minute. And I need a lot of minerals right now. Minerals. I say minerals, but I mean food. It's tough. There's different food sources as well. You have deer, which give more food. You have berries, which are a little bit less efficient. And I can also build pastures. I'm doing right here, where I can then gain, where I can get sheep. Each faction works a little bit different. His builds farms, and he's hunting deer and building farms. I, on the other hand, am more of a sheep herder, so I spawn sheep automatically here. Every 2 minutes, 1 sheep. Nice, very fun. Here we have some archer harassment going on as well. I'm being very, very aggressive against the Chinese opponent in this game, while he is kind of sitting back a little bit, trying to defend, but I keep finding holes in his defense. He's really struggling to afford any units. Yes, he has much higher food and wood income at the moment though. Mostly because I'm tacking up with a lot of workers, so I'm already advancing to the next stage, which costs me a lot of gold. And we didn't really see too much fighting action going on, mostly because my opponent decided to play more of a turtley opener style, which was not necessarily that great for him, as he kept losing units. And even now, like, he's building the slow spearmen instead of building archers. If he built archers, he could shut this down easily, but instead he's focusing on the slow spearmen. Even then, I'm kinda getting a bit shreked over there. However, my archers over here, sadly there isn't a kill count, are still defending against the villagers, trying to get some damage done. Also have 2 micro units down here. I'm gonna move in with the archers again in a second. If you look at my camera for a second here, I'm going in on the archers. I'm curious, I don't actually know what my camera looks like. Checking if everything is okay down there. Macro, macro, macro. Now we can really see my income kick in. You see the trade route that I have going on along the northwest side of the map. Kiting, checking if he's trying to get food. Shutting down his food income is so good. He needs a lot of food to afford his units. And I'm just zooming ahead in this game. Gameplay, like, the games are a little bit slower. It's more like, it reminds me a little bit of Wings of Liberty, where you take a long time to really set up, but once you get going, you really get going. But like setting up, it just takes a little while. It's not like in Starcraft 2, where after the 3-minute mark you're already dealing with the adepts, and then with 3:30 build the spores, oracles fly in. Not like that. Much more chill. Much more chill. You can still play a lot of aggressive strats, like night run buys like I did. It's just that a lot of players, at least now in the early games, early stages of the game, where people are still developing their meta, figuring the game a little bit out a little bit more. Game is a lot slower. I'm also still struggling with my economy, right? You can see I get 1.4k minerals almost, gold almost per minute. And I don't really have that many things I can spend the gold on. So because of that, I had to switch 24 workers to wood to actually afford at least a couple of buildings, so I can get my blacksmith and start on my upgrades. Need to build my archers here, upgrade my archers to the next tier so they become stronger. Now he's trying to disrupt my trade route. Scout. Should have started doing this a lot earlier. I'm speeding things up a little bit right now, as we're closing in on the last 5 minutes of this game. There hasn't really been too much action, but this game is kind of going to explode with a bang. as I now have both the ranged units and the melee units, man-at-arms, very strong defensive units with their shield. They have high armor, so they take very little damage. So they are the heavy melee infantry. There's always a light and a heavy variation of each unit, and then there's some special units that depend on the faction. I'm right now trying to set up my outposts over here. Him disrupting my trade route is actually kind of annoying. One thing that I didn't talk about, I can also change one resource into another. I can sell wood, for example, I can sell 100 wood and I get 82 gold. Then I can pay 154 wood to gain 154 gold to gain 100 wood. So it's not really a good trade if you just constantly swap back and forward. But if I notice, well, I have 4,000 gold and I gain so much gold, I really need to get some food right now, then that's a very good strategy. He should have started playing a little bit aggressive against my trade route much earlier on, that way he could have shut me down early. My units are hiding in the bush right here, getting ready for a backstab as he's about to charge in. Actually, like, if you look at it from my camera, like you can really, or this is my camera, but from his camera you can really only see a little bit into the bushes, like if you're right next to it. They really nerfed the vision. Right now, still dealing with the annoying scouts. Building more outposts. Outposts actually have have a very interesting feature where they can provide speed boosts if you use the Mongols. Kind of like little turrets, cannons. Grubby in this game is expanding along the top side right now as well. Yes, his walls here. Also getting building a connection to the trade post. Might build a market as well. Not actually sure. On the other hand, I'm getting ready for a siege. I accidentally built a springald. I didn't actually want to do that. That's the anti-siege unit. And here come the trebuchet, the OG of the siege unit, still dealing with his annoying harassment here. I don't want to lose my traders. They're very expensive and they are what gives me most of my income at the moment. I have 40 people on food right now, mass slaughtering the sheep here. I think you need 3 pastures per I know 1 pasture per 3 workers. I have a little bit too many. There's also economic upgrades. There's like so many things to this game that I can't talk about everything in this short video, but I want to kind of talk a little bit about, to give at least a little bit of an overview. This game is actually going to end with a siege. So this siege that we're watching right here is going to be the end of Grubby. I don't really tell you guys that much because Grubby is only now teching up. He's really struggling to get his defense together. He has his archers at the ready. I'm not sure if I don't think I can actually even see the units. I can see the players score, but that usually puts the Mongol players ahead. Kind of like the APM in Starcraft 2 always puts the Zergs ahead. Something. At least that's what I heard. Going in right now, my men-at-arms are very tanky, so his archers are struggling to really take them out. He actually has IS, the light ranged infantry. High rate of fire, ineffective versus armored targets. So my units right here that have 4 ranged armor are really giving it to his, who only do 5 damage. So instead of taking 5 damage 3 times, because they do 3 attacks at a time, they take 1 damage 3 times, so that's a big damage reduction of 80%. Yeah, the trebuchet are slowly shooting him down. They're actually shooting the mill. Every time my faction kills a building, or rather puts it on fire, meaning putting it below 20%, I gain a little bit of money as well. That makes my faction play a little bit more aggressive. But you can really see that my opponent in this game just was not ready for the big push, and eventually fell as my siege units overran him. There's a lot of different units in this game, a lot of different interactions. There is naval battles as well, and personally I've been enjoying it a lot, and I will definitely play it more in the future. Thank you for watching.